Good afternoon to my Filipino subscribers. Good early morning to my subscribers in America and beyond, um, who probably aren't even up right now as I'm making this video. But I want to thank you for your continued viewership, for subscribing to my channel. I'm trying to build a channel to be sort of a resource for the newbie who's contemplating coming over to the Philippines for a short vacation, a slow vacation, or maybe just to retire here. My 11 years doesn't make me an expert. And I say that on all my videos because I don't know if this is your first video watching or the 10th video, okay? It doesn't make me an expert. The Philippines is far too vast, far too diverse for that. But I believe I have a unique insight that can help people, help them avoid a lot of the pitfalls and the problems that I encountered when I came here, because I always tell people this. There's a handbook on the Philippines, how to come here, how to have a good time, how to thrive. But I didn't read it when I came here, okay? And that was my problem, see? That was my number one problem right there. The first problem, rather. And I just want to be that handbook for a lot of people. You know, so when you get off the plane, you can say, yeah, Calvin told me about that. Or when you encounter something like the taxi driver trying to drive around without the meter on, you say, yeah, Calvin told me about that. See, that's my goal. See, if I come off as a know-it-all or something like that, then I'm missing the mark, because that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to be helpful. But one of my subscribers, you know, he had asked me maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. He asked me, he said, why the Philippines? He said, you know, because he had heard one of my videos where, you know, I've been around the world. And he said, well, why did you decide to drop your anchor here in the Philippines? And, you know, I always like to be as honest as I can. I give you the nitty gritty, and that's one of my, it's one of the things that I try to do, okay? I'm not going to sugarcoat any of this. You know, when I came over here initially, it was to meet a young lady. And I met her, you know. But once the honeymoon was over with and all of that was gone, it was how well the Filipino people treated me personally. Okay, the welcome that I received and still receive 11 years later. You know, I feel like a celebrity here. I mean, of all the places I've been, the Philippines is far and beyond at the top as far as one of the most welcoming places in the world. Okay, Mexico's second, but it's way down there, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But it's the laid back lifestyle here for me. I'm an insurance agent, semi-retired, and I was on the hamster wheel, man. I've been on the hamster wheel for about 18 years straight without stopping, and you know, I needed a break. And when I came over here and I got off the plane, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, it was quiet. You know, I knew then, I didn't know how, but I knew then that I was going to live here. Okay. Somehow, some way, this is where I was going to stay. And then, you know, the Philippines is the cake. Okay. The icing is the low cost of living, the weather, the beautiful beaches, the beautiful women, you know, and all that other stuff. Okay. But Mexico comes about as close, you know, as any other place I've ever been, because I spent a little time there. These other places, I was a tourist strictly. You know, I didn't live there, so I'm giving you that perspective. I spent 10 days in Cancun, then I went up the road about an hour and spent a week in Playa del Carmen. You know, and these are resort areas, of course, if you've ever been to Cancun and Playa del Carmen. But the Mexican people there, man, they treated me so well. They rolled out the red carpet. Maybe because I was a tourist and maybe because of the resort I stayed in Playa del Carmen, but these people were so nice, man. As a matter of fact, I met a gentleman on the bus, because wherever I go, whether it's a tourist, visiting someplace, I always want to get in the center. I don't want to stay on the outside. I don't want to be a tourist, really, okay? So I had on this Obama shirt, and that's a whole nother story. But anyway, he saw the shirt, and that's what struck up the conversation between me and him. Come to find out, he had just moved back from Cancun from Los Angeles, California. And so I asked him, I said, hey, would you show me around the real Cancun, where the real people live? Take me away from this tourist area. And he did. I mean, he was a really nice guy. And what I ended up doing is going back to the hotel, taking the shirt off. I sent it to the laundry. And the next day, I gave the guy the Obama shirt. But he really showed me the ins and outs of Cancun. I mean, but the only problem I had with Mexico was the further you go into Mexico, and this is no fault of Mexicans, okay? As an American, all I speak really is English and the little Messiah that I've learned over here. But the further I went in, the less they spoke English or I was even willing to speak English, okay? All right, so that kind of, but the beaches, man, the weather, the proximity to America, because it only took me 4 hours. I flew from Louisville, Kentucky to, I believe, either North Carolina or Memphis. I can't remember which one. And then from there to Cancun. But the proximity, that puts Mexico way up there. Okay, then Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. If you've ever been to Brazil, you know how beautiful that place is. I mean, Sugarloaf Mountain. I stayed in the Copacabana district. I stayed in a hotel on the 17th floor, right across from Copacabana Beach, so I could look out my window and watch everything going on, on the street. And, of course, I love the weather, the beaches, the beautiful women, but there's something about Rio that just grabs you. What I like. See, I like to eat outside, those little outside cafes, and I'm sitting there. You can take it all in on that strip in Copacabana, okay. But what I didn't like about Brazil was, I don't know, it's because they see Americans all the time, I see foreigners all the time, but they wasn't as welcoming, and they were more aggressive than in the Philippines. As far as people approaching you. And they wasn't impressed by me for some reason. And that's not what I want, but I mean, they wasn't intimidated. And when I went to Copacabana Beach, everybody was telling me, watch your things and make sure somebody's watching your back. And see, I don't want that wherever I go somewhere. I don't want to have to be worried about my safety. See, and that's the only strike that I had against Brazil, okay? Because Brazil is just, Sugarloaf Mountain, we took that tour to Sugarloaf Mountain, and believe it or not, maybe a week or two after we came back, I was watching a James Bond movie, and the very same places he had shot his movie, is places I've been. That big Christ statue, I saw it at night, and it's just a sight to behold, man. I love Brazil, but, I didn't feel safe there as I do here in the Philippines. And the cost of living, I would give it a 6.5 out of 10, with the Philippines being 10. Okay. Another good place that I went to that's high on my list is Cartagena, Colombia. Now, of course, of all the places I've been, they have the most beautiful women, even more than Rio. Okay. They're a little bit more friendly. Okay. But they're not so welcoming, in the area that I was in. And I stayed only a week in Cartagena, but it's high on my list because, I love the food, the food is just, to die for. Of course, all the places I go to are on the water because, I love beaches. If I could build a place on the beach, that's what I would do and spend the rest of my life on the beach. And the white sand beaches are, beautiful. But again, the people wasn't as friendly, as I like people to be. If I'm contemplating on living somewhere or slow vacationing somewhere. But as far as the food, the beaches, the beautiful women and like that, Cartagena's up there. But the Philippines, I checked the box on everything with the Philippines, okay? One of the toughest things about the Philippines, though, is the language. If you're not willing to learn the language over here, you're really going to have it hard. Because Filipinos, even though they speak proper English, a great majority of the population, they're more comfortable speaking their language. And who blames them? It's just like when we're in America, same way. We want people to speak English. So, now the shoe's on the other foot. Okay. But the cost of living, see, that's what puts the Philippines way up there too. I mean, the argument of, can I live off $1,000 a month? Of course you can, and that argument's going to go on forever. And I don't even want to get into it anymore. I've got a video that talks about that. Okay, the only knock that I have to put the X on the Philippines, is the proximity to America. Even though it's easy to get here, it's a long, long way. For me, coming from Louisville, Kentucky, it's 18 hours. It's in the air. Okay, and then a 12-hour time difference. But the low cost of living, beautiful weather, beautiful beaches, beautiful people. The way that they welcome you here. Okay, nobody bothers me here. I'm as free here as I've ever been in my life. I'm 57 years old. I'm a free man here. The police don't harass me. When I go in the stores, they don't follow me around. You understand? People aren't afraid of me here. When they see me, they don't cross the street. They don't clutch their purse. Okay, that impresses me. See, I like that kind of stuff. I just want to be like everybody else, and the Philippines allows me to do that. So that's my answer to you, sir, of why I dropped my anchor in the Philippines. Okay, and the transition, because a lot of people speak English and a lot of the signs, the signage, and a lot of everything is in English. It just made the transition easier for me. So I hope that answers your question. But, those other places, I'm not knocking them. But I have to check off all the other boxes for the Philippines. Okay? Thanks for watching. If you haven't helped anybody, please help somebody today. I've got a Sunshine Shoulders Facebook page. And every week I give away 1,000 pesos, man. I sacrifice 1,000 pesos out of my savings to help my Filipino subscribers. Okay, I'm not rich by any means, but the pandemic put a whooping on this place. Okay, if you think it hurt you over in America, it put a whooping on you, man. And everybody here should have qualified for that 5,000 to 8,000 pesos SAP is what they call it. Really like a stimulus check like we received in the States, but a lot of the people who needed it didn't get it. So I have a drawing every Friday night, man. It's just, it's just something. My mother taught me compassion, and that's what it's really all about. I wish I could help everybody, but I can't do that, okay? But I know when I help other people, I help myself, okay? I'll never ask you for money, but I do need your support. If you like my videos, like them. If you want to comment, by all means comment. If you prefer, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, because I'm trying to build a channel to be a resource for the newbie. Or maybe a expat that's over here that's struggling, maybe something that I say may be able to help him, okay? Thank you so much. I got 3 more days. I'm going to take y'all outside. I'm going to show y'all this beautiful place, San Carlos. The cleanest city in the Philippines, okay? It's going to shock you, man. Thank you so much. Take care.